My guest today is Antonio Iozzo, CEO at IUM. IUM will be rebranding soon, and today we will have a chat about that. Antonio, thank you for joining me to discuss the exciting transformation from IUM to Alpha Insure. This rebrand marks a significant step in the company's journey, and I'm keen to hear the story behind the rebrand. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, Antonio. So maybe we can start with a little insight into IUM, soon to be rebranded to Alpha Insure, maybe a bit of background on the company and its offerings just to set the scene.
Yeah, sure. I mean, IUM is this year actually turned 20 years old. And IUM was born out of, back in the day, had a brokerage. And we used to do work on sometimes Percital system, which was their software system back in the day. And they used to pay us an admin fee for doing their administration on their behalf. And in 2004, they approached us and told us that they're not allowed to pay the admin fee into our brokerage bank account. We need to open up a separate business. And so IUM was really started as an administration arm for the brokerage. By about 2007, we branched out into doing administration for our second brokerage. And by 2008, I had separated from the brokerage and took IUM on by itself and really started off as an administration house for brokers where I would have agencies with all the big insurers. And if a brokerage had an agency with IUM, I would be able to provide them multiple quotes from various insurance markets. By about 2010, I soon realized that the administration model was dying and that in order for me to survive, I would need to open up my own cell captive, which I did with Centric in 2010. First, for a very small product, which was my leisure product, which was motorcycles and quad bikes. By 2012, I branched out into our commercial products and our personal lines product. We also launched the haulage product. And by about 2014, I'd closed down all my agencies with other insurers, and all I was selling was my own IUM product through Centric. Listen, in the beginning, it was tough. I mean, dealing with being in competition with other insurance companies and trying to add a value add outside of just paying claims was really difficult. And I think my catalyst for growth really came during COVID. And two things happened. When a lot of businesses went home during COVID, I decided that we were going to stay in the office and we were going to be office bound because we're a service-based business and we're a work from work business. We need to collaborate with each other. And I didn't believe it would be optimal for us to be working from home. And at the same time, I was offered a corporate book of business on the assets all risk side, which I was able to write at that point, but never really had an opportunity because a lot of the bigger brokers had agencies with the big insurers, and there was really no need for them to use a smaller player like IUM. But just at that time, capacity was shrinking in the South African market. We had suffered huge losses. I think it started off with the knives and the fires. We had a lot of hail. We had a lot of flooding. And the reinsurers started pulling back on capacity. And all of a sudden, there was a capacity squeeze. And I came in and sort of filled that gap. So since about 2020 to where we are now, I've probably taken my business and times it by 10 on gross profit. We're sitting at just over 2 billion turnover on annual premium. And IUM is now the largest independently owned cell captive UMA in Africa. So we've had a really good run. The thing is that IUM doesn't really talk to where the business is going and where we want to be in the next 3 to 5 years. And so I've been wanting to look at changing the name for about the last 3 years. And I finally came up with the name that really does suit the business, the brand, what we stand for. And decided to push the button on the rebrand to Alpha Insure on January.
Wow, I really love your story on how you just kept evolving and nothing could get you down and you just changed the model as you went along. And it's really shows I think how a lot of us are really resilient. I think as the South Africans, we are a very resilient nation and we make a plan when it happens. But I really love your story. I know you also wrote a book, but we can touch on that maybe later if there's time. Um,
Yeah,
so thank you for that. Wow. And well done for just keeping yourself and the business relevant the whole time.
the
It's
thing is,
really
Renette, I mean, one thing that I really live by in my personal life and my business life is there's a Japanese concept called Kaizen, which is really for you to adopt the concept of continual improvement in your life, incremental improvement, small improvement, but that you always look to move forward in whatever you're doing. And I think that has really been something that I've adopted in the business for us to continually evolve, continually change. I love change. It's been a big job to get my staff to adopt change and to love change just as much as I do. And also to change the culture of the business where the staff really, really love coming to work. We've grown from a staff complement probably round about at COVID, probably about 80 staff, to a staff complement just shy of 500 staff. So, I mean, it's been a huge growth spurt in the last four odd years.
wow, that is really amazing. Listen, I think you had the attention of many when you said you moved back to the office as a team as soon as you could. We did
Yeah,
exactly the
we
same.
only went home. I think we went home for the initial 2 weeks when we were
Yes.
forced to go home. And after that, we came back and I just called all the staff in and I said, guys, we're not going home. And I was really quite hard about it, but I really believe it was the best thing for the business.
It is most certainly the best thing for the business, and up to today, you still see so many complaints from the broker fraternity on service levels from a lot of the insurers where this work from home principle. Yes, for some it works, but there's a lot of people that
I
really,
don't, I don't, I don't think it works at all. I think a big business doesn't really realize that their service levels have dropped. And I look at big corporates almost like a Titanic ship
yeah,
where their engines have switched off, but they're still moving forward.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, we're in the service industry. We sell nothing but a piece of paper and a promise that we're going to do something when something happens. And we've really adopted the principle of we don't want to move to call centers. We've gone back to the old way of doing business face to face. We go and visit all our brokers. We like to interact with our clients. And I really just think that's what the market wants. You know, they want to deal with professionals. They want to deal with staff that can help them, that actually know their products. And I think I've got really, really good resource within the business.
yeah. No, absolutely 100% agree with you. So well done. I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you.
I'm sure you've interviewed quite a few people who ask that question and then don't want to work with you because they can't work from home.
People have now come and they want flexi hours and they want this. And unfortunately, I'm hard and fast. It's Monday to Friday, 8 to 4:30. If you don't want to adopt those working hours, IUM is unfortunately not the business for you.
Love it. So I think first of all, you've took me through the whole story of why you did the rebrand, and I think that 20 years was a good mark to do it. Maybe you can talk to me about the name and what it represents.
So I think the name Alpha and the logo, especially being the wolf, really does reflect growth, leadership, a readiness to innovate in a ever-changing market. Our core values of strength and reliability really are symbolized in the name Alpha. And the name and identity highlight the company's focus on protection, community, and forward thinking. Our whole business and our motto, providing protection, which is one part of what we do, which is really what every insurance company does. We sell an insurance policy and we provide protection for clients in the event of them suffering a loss. The next part of my slogan is where I think every other insurance company falls short, which is mitigating risk. So providing protection, mitigating risk. The mitigating risk part is really all the add-on complementary services which are free to all our clients, which is the surveying, the risk management, the quantity surveying. We do fire installations for clients. We really go over and above to ensure that our clients we try and put them into the best possible situation not to suffer loss. Because I can tell you, clients, just as much as the insurers, don't want a loss. They probably suffer more than us, because even though we might try and reinstate them back into the position that they were before the loss, they might suffer reputational harm. They might lose clients while we are reinstating a property if they suffer a fire. And really to ensure that we get clients' claims ready, that should they suffer a loss, there's no underwriting at claim stage. All the underwriting has been done up front in the beginning of the policy, and we really hold the client's hand through the whole risk management process. If they have risk requirements, we take that responsibility away from them, and we'll help manage that process to get them compliant.
How many wolves were there before you found the right one?
On the wolf,
Yeah.
so there was actually another name that I first brought out, a company from overseas that I thought would help us come up with the right name. And initially I came up with the name of Apollo, and I registered it, trademarked it, got the websites, and it didn't really stick with me, and I shelved that. That was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then a lot of my best ideas happen at between like 1 and 3 in the morning. And last year, around about August, September, I woke up in the middle of the night and I just came up with the name that I wanted. And I found a company overseas, a design company that helped me design the wolf, the font, and probably took me about a month and a half to conceptualize the name and the logo. And then it was around about August this year that I decided that it was now time for us to push the button. So I'm really proud of the look and feel. I think it is really a powerful statement, a powerful logo, and really does symbolize all the core values of the business.
Yeah, I agree with you. If people want to go and have a look at it so long, it is in the FA News November edition, and they can read up a little bit more about that also in this edition. I know they can get it at many other places, but I have to redirect them to FA News, right?
Yeah.
Anything brokers need to be aware of that will change on their side in terms of dealing with it?
So nothing changes. I mean, the broker market got notified on the 1st of November for the change, so a 2-month notice period. But really, it will be a smooth transition over to Alpha effective 1 Jan. Nothing really changes, obviously, except email addresses, but all the old email addresses will forward through to the new email addresses. The old website will forward through to the new one. Obviously, we redesigned all our product brochures, all our templates, everything that had IUM has to now get rebranded. I believe we throw one of the best golf days in the insurance industry every April. And we've got a whole lot of branding that we've been using, and that all has to basically get thrown out. So everything has to change. Signage at every branch, clothing, our corporate image is changing. So it's a big job. But I've got a big internal marketing team. All my resources I try and house internally. I don't like to outsource, from assessing to loss adjusters to marketing, even parts procurement on the motor side. Everything is housed internally within the business.
I really like your model. Talk to me, Antonio, about your company culture, and maybe you can touch on some of the non-negotiables for you as a leader. And while you're talking about that, maybe you can also throw in some comments around innovation and the importance of that for you in your business. So that's a big one.
So company culture has been something that I've really paid a lot of attention to over the last 7 years. If you have to go back 7 years, and I mean, we'll probably touch on the book. I used to race superbikes. I started racing superbikes only when I was probably about 35. And at one point, I sort of took a back seat in the business, and I was racing about 3 times a week.
Sure.
But I really had a poor company culture within the business. And to the point where I started losing a lot of my key staff, And I think even my reputation in the market, IUM was known as a business where if I hired a staff member, there's a good chance that they wouldn't have lasted more than 3 months before they got fired. And it's not a good place to be. And it's definitely not a good place as your reputation within the insurance industry. And so I came back into the business before the accident and I took charge again. And I first had to come and do a culture audit, an external culture audit. It took about 6 months for my staff to really believe that I wasn't trying to find the cliffdwellers in the business to fire them, that all I wanted was their honest opinion of me, the culture in the business, and what we could do to really change. And once I got the findings of the culture audit, I had to take a long, hard look at myself because, the fish rots from the head. And a lot of the issues and the problems that IUM was facing really did stem from me as the owner and the CEO and the mentor within the business. And so I set about changing the culture. And changing a culture of a business is definitely no easy feat. But I can honestly say, looking back, and now we're 7 years forward, I have got the most amazing business. I mean, I run this business and I really do call it my work family. And I look after my staff as if they are my family members. I want my staff to really enjoy working at the business. I think I am really generous in the way that I pay my staff. I like to overpay. I mean, I am a hard driver. I drive the business hard. I drive my staff hard. But I've created a really good ecosystem within our office here in Bedford View. We housed in a new 11-story office block that we occupied in 2021. I've got the most amazing fitness facility, 5,000 square meter, the best 6-star fitness facility in the Southern Hemisphere, I really do believe. I've got a really most amazing restaurant on the roof of the building. And within the ecosystem, I really try to get the staff to adopt health and wellness as part of their journey within the business. And then we use the restaurant to entertain our brokers, entertain clients, and really just to showcase the substantiveness of what the business entails and what we can do for clients and brokers. On the side of technology, we are really, really driven by tech. Our surveying side of the business, we've got a system that we've developed in Salesforce called Insight, which is really a whole cloud-based system which from the time that a survey is conducted, which is on iPad, so there's nothing word-based or written. Everything is housed in an ecosystem with triggers and reminders for brokers and clients. We have adopted something called CatNet, which helps us have a look at natural catastrophes and look at areas within South Africa that are high-risk locations for us. We're very big into geocoding our premises and looking at our exposure. As a business, IUM has got, I think now, the single biggest capacity limit within the country. We are able to write up to 1.25 billion any single location. So where a lot of the market has been decreasing and reducing the exposure, we have managed to gain the respect of the biggest reinsurers in the world. On our treaty, out of our 10 reinsurers, we've got the top 6 reinsurers that participate on our treaty. And I think really by being open and transparent with them on how we run the business and how we look at risk, they have definitely adopted an approach that they are backing me and backing the business in our journey going forward.
Sure. I wanted to ask you, it's a question I always ask, why you? What makes you different and unique? But I think I've got all the answers. I think you really gave us a very good insight on.
There's a few principles that I live by, and I'd really try and instill them in my staff. One of the principles that I've even applied in my life and only really looking back have been able to identify it, is that I strive for perfection in everything that I do, knowing that I'll actually never achieve it. But when I strive for it, I'm trying to do the best that I can, whether I'm writing a letter, whether I'm constructing a policy, whether I'm building a building. And then your version of perfection is basically where you are over time. Because as you experience different things in life and as you grow as a person, your version of perfection grows. And what I thought was a good building in my first building that I built, let's say 10 years ago, and I look at the building that I've built now, my version of perfection has grown and has changed. So it ties in with Kaizen, which is the continuing improvement, but really just to get my guys not to stagnate, to always want to drive forward, learn more, change. And then my biggest principle that I live by is that the most powerful word in business, and I really try and get my management team, especially to adopt it, is sorry. You know, guys are so scared to apologize when they've done something wrong. And for me, the most powerful word in business is I can defuse the tensest boardroom situation. If you really do mean it and you come into a situation where you know that you've done something wrong, just apologize. Say sorry. You take the wind out of everyone's sails when they come into a meeting ready to fight. They've got all their bullet points. They're ready to attack. And you just say, you know what, guys, I'm just so sorry. You know, we made a mistake. We're going to fix it. We'll do what it takes. And I always do put my money where my mouth is when I've made mistakes. But don't get on the defensive. You know, so many guys, when they make a mistake, their first thing is to get on the defensive and start to defend their position. And to try and train them out of that and get them to rather come forward, say sorry. I love forgiving my staff. I'm the king of second, third, fourth chances in business. And at the end of the day, all I want to do is, when my staff realize that I'm not cross with them, all I am is I'm cross with the situation that we find ourselves in. And how we're going to fix it, how we're going to move forward, how we're going to learn from it, and hopefully not make it again.
So, Antonio, I think there's a lot of people that can learn a lot of things for you. What really stands out for me is your attitude to always grow and let people grow. And it doesn't matter how small, a little bit forward is all what it's about. So I thoroughly enjoyed this chat. Maybe closing off with your key message to our audience, the brokers.
I think to the brokers, I would say, if you haven't given IUM, soon to be Alpha Insure, a chance, I would say, guys, don't listen to the market. I would say, get in contact. We're a great brand. We're here to protect our brokers, protect our clients. Give us a chance. Experience us, our service, our product offering. I think you'll be very surprised in how we're able to support your business.
Thanks, Antonio. That was an absolutely amazing chat. I thoroughly enjoyed it and I feel inspired.
Thanks, Jeanette.
The rest of the day.
Awesome stuff, Jeanette. Thanks for chatting.
Thanks, Antonio.
I look forward to chatting to you again soon.
Yes, for sure. Maybe we can chat about your book that you wrote.
Yeah, no. I mean, as soon as you're ready to chat about that, that's a whole crazy journey that happened to me.
I would love to.
Definitely changed my life. And the book has done really well. It's hit #1 in the States in 3 categories.
Wow.
#1 in Australia, #1 in Canada in 1 category. So it's been an overwhelming success for a South African book. And I wrote it myself. I had a ghostwriter, but I really wanted it to be my voice coming through the book, that when people read it, if they know me, it's as if I'm talking to them when I wrote it.
No, let's do that. I'll get in touch. Thanks.
Awesome stuff, Renette. Thanks, man. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.